crucial for the African trade unions and even for the African employers and governments, because the continent has its own unique labor relations issues, and which are not similar to other continents in the world, because we operate in a protective manner, in which we protect the mega jobs that we have on the continent, because creating of new employment is a challenge on this continent. So if OATUU is not alert with the emerging challenges on the labor market, on the current labor markets in the continent of Africa, then we will have nobody employed on this continent. We are facing issues of outsourcing, precarious employment, and on this continent, and immediately after COVID, or during COVID period, a lot of factories closed. The hospitality industry that caters about tourism and so on the continent of Africa, it almost collapsed. So it is now the prime duty of the Organization of the African Trade Union Unity, OATUU, to make sure that all what we lost, we regain, we fight it back, we restore our lost glory. To do so, OATUU must be proactive, and these are the plans we are having that will be endorsed at the forthcoming meeting in Egypt, so that we can be able to assist our governments and employers to revive active economy or performing economy on the continent of Africa. This will not only help the existing national labor centers affiliated to OATUU on the continent, but they will also deter the most rampant danger that is being caused by our African countries, where young men and women are dying in the Mediterranean under the pretext that they are going to look for green pastures in Europe. So we have a lot of work as OATUU to make sure that issues related to migrant workers is put in place. Some gadgets are or some mechanisms are put in place to protect workers working outside this continent, and also to make sure that as advocated by the International Labour Organization, the African governments and employers, they provide workers on this continent with decent jobs. We do away with precarious, short-term, seasonal, casual, and outsourcing of employment on the continent of Africa. Because the outsourcing or casualization or predetermined poor contracts is indirect slavery on the continent of Africa, and it doesn't restore any dignity to working people on this continent. So it is our duty to remind time and again our employers and governments that we don't need to have our people being indirectly employed as slaves or doing work that cannot be able to meet family targets as far as decent living, decent working, decent jobs, and also responsible dignity to African people is respected. So those are some of the duties that are ahead of OATUU. The biggest issue as workers also, we need to integrate. We need to come together. We need to be together, to stand together, and also to be all inclusive and in solidarity, so that we can be able to speak in one voice, as it has been said, as per our own slogan, that united we stand, divided we fall, and we don't want to fall. So to do so, OATUU has a very heavy responsibility of making sure that all national labor centers on the continent of Africa, we speak in one voice. We recruit more members. We build our national centers to be strong, and OATUU must take a leading role in organizing and recruitment drives in various member states of African Union and our own affiliates on the continent of Africa. So you can see that is a huge challenge. Two, we need also to make sure that there is really transparency amongst our leaders on political sphere. We must make sure that there is really good governance that can attract peace on the continent of Africa, that can attract both direct and indirect investments. It is only through investments and sound economic policies that can spur economic growth on this continent and create employment for more young men and women who are coming out of our institutions of high learning. And that is the responsibility of OATUU, to remind governments, to remind employers time and again that this is the time you can wake up and provide equity. This is the time you can wake up and make sure that there is equal sharing of our facilities and national resources in our own African countries. This is the time our governments are supposed to come up and make sure that they develop homegrown policies to grow economy, to protect our own people from being molested, from being harassed by the developed world. This is the only time we can come together and protect our resources. Because in Africa we have minerals, we have every type of what you can call it, including land, very vast land. We have also water. We have everything that you can name of, which is not in other continents. So this is the time for us to stand up and protect what God created for us. And to do so, OATUU has a heavy responsibility of reminding those in authorities that please, this is what you are supposed to do. Reminding employers that you as employers on the continent of Africa, this is what you need to do. Expand education and responsibility programs for our workers. Expand social security and provide those amenities that, those basic amenities that a working person requires. Also make sure that somebody is within the living and decent brackets of incomes. That's the work of OATUU. That's why I said OATUU must lead. We have some things we have some policies that we want to put in place and put them before government after they have been endorsed at our forthcoming conference in Cairo, in Egypt. Because if you don't do so now, then governments will not take us serious. For us to come out of these challenges, we need industrialization. We need provision of clean water to our people. We need electricity. We need to make sure that there is enough food for our people on the continent. Those are very cardinal issues. We need that there is universal health care to our people in this country, in this continent of Africa. To do so, we are the only pressure group on this continent that is origin, that has no any external connection, that we can, the only organization that is in a better position to exert pressure to our governments for a change for better. And to do so, we have no any other option, but we must ask our governments to get into manufacturing businesses and export, so that we can be able to expand our economic horizons and become non-dependent foreigners, so that we can be in a position to employ more of our own indigenous Africans without begging or without inviting other people to do that for us. As I casually told you, that the world is moving towards analog to digital. And digitalization is what has taken place globally now, everywhere. And it is a matter of a must. We have no other escape route but to ask our governments to start opening up IT institutions to make sure that the large number of people on this continent, even those who are old, they are taken back for the IT courses. Because what is going to happen in the future, even if you are sick, you can be diagnosed through your own telephone, smart telephone. You can also access the pharmacist who provides medicine that you require for your ailment through smart telephone, smart iPad, or in your own computer. And these courses, or even ordering your own food from a restaurant and so on. There are no people who will be working to restaurants and so on under the provision of modern technology of information technology, which is known as digital economy. So if you don't do it now, then it means that IT literacy it will be lacking so many people, and a lot of people will be IT illiterate, which is very dangerous. Whether you have a university degree or not, but you are IT literate, then you will remain behind as people will be moving ahead. So this is a big challenge that we have got to ask our governments as a pressure group. We have got also to convert some of our labor colleges into IT courses. Like in Kenya, we have labor college. The miners in South Africa, they have small labor college. Here in Ghana, we have a continental labor college owned by OATUU, and so on, so that we can train even labor leaders to be modern information compliant. To do so, it is not going to be so easy unless we exert pressure for governments to make sure that within their curricula, in the Ministry of Education, the IT is given priority. And if you don't do that, then we remain behind. That's the biggest challenge OATUU has got to enter into. Because in future, everything, even manufacturing, will be through IT. Ordering of anything that you can think of, it will be through information technology. Conferencing and other things and other facilities will be through virtual. And people need to be conversant with that type of systems, so that nobody is left behind. And even designing and doing whatever you want to do, be it carpentry, plumbing, or roofing of a house, or getting out on an artistic work, it will be through smart telephones, smart information technology, and so on. And we cannot allow Africa to remain behind. That is why that will be the work of OATUU. And lastly, this area must be legislated by African governments, so that it is by law that if you are an IT illiterate, you cannot be served anywhere in government offices. This will make sure, it will compel those old guys and those who are older, even some than me, are taken back to school or makeshift type of training to train as information technology, others as experts, others as lecturers also as well, and others as managers of IT information. Actually, if government, for example, today, if Ghanaian government came up with a law that everybody must be IT literate, and they open up the way they did in Singapore, you know, they opened, even in Taiwan, even in South Korea, it was by law. First of all, you must amend the law that compels every citizen to be IT literate. And they open up on very sub-location or small area of administrative jurisdiction. Inside there is a tent, a big tent there for people to train as IT information compliant. To do so, government must change the law, so that if you are on the market and you are found that you don't have a certificate in IT, you are not served. You are arrested and taken back to your nearest school at home to do some courses in IT. It's when you will be allowed to start again hawking your merchandise.